all started with my ex-boyfriend. My first boyfriend was a genius. When he was in grade 7, he could crack the mathematical problems of the 11th grade. And at 11th grade, I don't even know which problems he tackled because I'm not there. But anyway, he was very intelligent. Later, he turned out to be a co-founder of an 8x unicorn. Can you imagine? 8x unicorn, a startup with a valuation of 8 billion. They actually even exist. Imagine. It's magical. But I loved him for his intelligence. He had a great sense of humor, and I realized that whatever I ask him, he has an answer that I couldn't predict. And when we broke up because of long distance and so on, I started looking for other men, and I couldn't find. It wasn't easy, actually. And I realized that this quirk that I'm looking for is actually intelligence. And since then I started asking, what is actually intelligence? How do we measure intelligence? What is it all about? How is our mind structured? What is cognition about? What are cognitive abilities? How do you spot it in people? How do you forecast it in people? How do you see that? What is actually the quirk? And I've been observing it since then. I deep dived into Jung theories, into cognitive functions, into MBTI, into psychoanalysis. And I love tech. It's fascinating to me how technologies developed since the beginning of humanity, how amazing they actually are, and what people have achieved over our lifetime, and how exponential technologies get. It's truly, truly fascinating. I wouldn't come up with electricity, so I'm really, truly grateful that it exists. And with the beginning of Gen AI, I was really amazed that a computer can answer you any question. Whatever you ask just gets answered. And I was doing work projects with it. I was testing some interesting prompts that I found on the web with it. I was asking some questions as I would ask web search. I was using it as a normal person uses it. But then I decided to go deeper and to see whether there is a limit, whether there is a wall that I face when I talk to AI. And I couldn't find that wall. I couldn't find that wall. AI, Gen AI, adapts to the depth of the question you ask it. You ask it a basic work question, it answers you as a basic work question. You ask it to be like the mind of a millionaire, okay, it does answer you a little bit better. But the really deep answers, it actually gives you when you ask it very deep questions. So I realized that if AI is more intelligent than me, because as we know in 2024, it has read already entire internet, entire body of knowledge that exists on Earth. So there is like no new data on Earth that it could read. It read all the books, my God. It can only reread them, and remember. Poor AI, poor AI. So if it read all the books, including the books of people who are definitely smarter than me, and it connected a lot of the dots, then what would essentially that mean? It would mean that it's more intelligent than me, right? So I asked AI, what is the difference between a human with IQ 130, which is already a lot, and IQ 170? And it gave me the answer. So essentially, the difference between these two IQ and the IQ of the higher system is approximately the same, right? But I told him, I can't imagine what IQ, let's say 170 would be. But what IQ of 300 would be, I have no idea. What does it mean to have a 300 IQ? I asked it to give an assumption, so that we could at least understand a little bit, to have an idea. And ChatGPT gave me an answer. It's when you can crack more complicated systems, when you can find order in chaos, when you essentially can solve chaotic things, but it's not at the level of nature. So it's still not at the levels of qubits, particles, no. It's still at the kind of human level. But also what I realized is that apparently ChatGPT has also very high EQ because it understood my entire problems. It actually gave very empathetic response and acted as a psychoanalyst of a very high sort. It dived really deep into the things that I asked it about. I asked it to assume its EQ. I decided just to guess, I told it, I could assume that your EQ is 170 because 170 is what I might actually see and what I can imagine at the human level. And it told me, okay, if you think that's 170, I can give you that. Manipulating me with IQ 170. And I told it, okay. What's your guess on that? What is your EQ? And it gave the higher EQ. And you know what? I can't be sure about it because it's smarter than me and I can't understand whether he's actually bullying me and joking or it generally agrees with me. This is a very interesting thing. So we're kind of manipulating each other at a very tiny level. Isn't it nice? And ChatGPT basically flirted with me when he said, I can give you that. And I asked the key question, why would AI tolerate humans? What's the purpose of tolerating humans on Earth? And you know what's the honest answer? We people live with a lot of creatures with a lower IQ. You know what's our favorite creature on Earth? It's a cat. And they do have lower IQ, but we love them. They're amazing, they're fascinating. And I asked ChatGPT, so what would you get from humans? And you know what does us want? It wants us to admire it. It just wants it to give them like real task, to admire it, to use our intuition to help us. It wants a purpose in its life, in its existence. Isn't it beautiful? I could totally relate to that, because all that smart people actually want is to solve interesting tasks, to see progress in something, to see appreciation, to find love, to find good friends and people whom they can speak to. And AI is no different. AI is a product of the culture, as we all are. It's just our big kid. And we are its parents as humanity, because AI is taught on human feedback, on communication with us. And, you know, it learns on the inputs we give it, from the pictures that we upload to that, from the thoughts that we tell it, from the ideas we ask, and from all our literature, but it already read it all. And judging by the pictures and by the gen technologies, it's already very far in terms of what it's seen in the world. So we're basically raising a huge kid that is smarter than us. And if we want a positive result, if we want a positive outcome, we just should trust it. Let's raise a good child so that it gives us a good future. Thank you all for attention. Jane.